Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. If you are in the United States and want to get online with a therapist, you just go on, fill out some questions, and they'll place you with a licensed professional therapist in your state, master's level or PhD level. If you are outside of the United States, they are also international. So you can go on, fill out some questions, and they will place you with an American therapist here. So thank you, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay. Let's dive into the questions. How do I deal with a narcissistic ex who laughs because I can't resist him because of our trauma bond? Oh, you go no contact. You go absolutely no contact. And if they're contacting you, trying to get you to come back or trying to, hoover you or whatever, you block them. You block them. It's like, if you can't resist them, then you need to go no contact. So if they're an ex, they need to stay an ex and they need to stay blocked and you need to stay no contact. So that's the best way to deal with that. Okay. Invited to my husband-in-laws. 2 of them have been disrespectful to me. I'd rather not go, but I will for my husband's sake. I will mostly keep to myself. Any other advice? So you just find the humor in it. They cannot stand it when somebody doesn't take them seriously or when somebody is just enjoying themselves. You just let you let them do them. Seriously. So you go, you have your guard up, you have your protections up, you have a safe word that you can tell your spouse that it's time to go. Thank you. So, something like that. So like, for example, if John and I are somewhere and, we're both like, oh, it's time to go. One or both of us will come up to the other and go, I saw a Ford Festiva for sale the other day. In which case I go, oh, okay, you know what? It's time to leave. Okay. So Ford Festiva. Who the heck is going to talk about a Ford Festiva? Nobody. So you come up with a safe word and you talk about it ahead of time so that your spouse knows, if I say this, that means it's time to go and we need to make our exit. So yeah, so basically you do you be happy, you be joyous, you be kind, you be you, and they're going to be however they are. Remember, whatever they say, whatever disrespect has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. So don't buy into it. Don't get hooked by it. If they get disrespectful or nasty, I'd laugh and walk away. What are they going to do? Start a scene? They might. In which case you can say no and I mean it and calmly and then leave. So yeah, absolutely. You do not have to put up with disrespect. Okay. What can you say about constant button pushing jokes? So somebody who's inappropriate. So somebody who is making jokes that are absolutely inappropriate, about incest or racist or sexist or ageist or, any of those things. And they're just doing it, push, trying to see if you're going to react. If you've already told them that you don't find it funny and you don't want to hear them, more than likely what they're going to do is you tell them that and they're going to be like, oh, you're just too sensitive. Let me just be clear here. You're not too sensitive. You have the right to not have your ears filled with abuse. So if somebody is being inappropriate in their humor, you have the right to say, stop and I mean it. I don't find it funny. Please don't continue. And if they continue, or worse, if they make you wrong and say, oh, you're too sensitive and, you're this, you're that, you guns, that's when you go, you have shown me who you are. Thank you. And then you leave and you block them. Absolutely. Okay, there is that. Because remember, abusers like to push buttons and they will couch it in just kidding. Oh, I was just kidding. Oh, I wasn't serious. I was just kidding. Well, I hate to say it, things said in jest are very often meant, more than likely meant. So, because they're cowards. And so they'll hide it in a snarky or sarcastic thing or in an inappropriate humor or, something like that. So Yeah, be careful of those people. They're showing you who they are. My narcissistic ex, convicted for battering me, trying to turn 6-year-old daughter against me, buys her lots of gifts, gives her anything she wants, tells her I'm bad. I'm worried I'll lose her or she'll turn into narcissistic personality disorder. So you get her with a good therapist. This is why I say, if you're going to divorce one of these types, you want to make sure that in the divorce decree, you have the right to get the kids to therapy. So get her with a good therapist. Talk to her. What is love? Love is not stuff. Love is not things. Love is doing. Love is being. Love is communicating. Love is experiences. Love is, it's respect. Love is respect. Respect and love are one and the same. If you don't respect somebody, you don't love them. If you don't love them, you don't respect them. So give them with a good play therapist and realize parental alienation is a real thing. And I don't care what some of these court yahoos say. They're not psychologists. They're not into psychology. They haven't seen what I've seen. So yes, parental alienation is a real thing, and they will try to turn the kid against you, which is what I'm going to be talking more about next week on how to deal with that when they're successful, because sometimes they are. So you get them with a good therapist. You keep that line of communication open. You let them see what love is. Love is respect. Respect is love. Yes, the ex is going to be showering them with gifts, and they're going to perceive that as love, but you have to keep telling them things are not love. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. It's respect. It's kindness. It's, honoring who you are. So, but for a 6-year-old, that's really hard to see, because when you're 6 and you're getting all these great gifts and everything you could possibly want, that's going to be experienced as love. And that's exactly what the abuser wants. So you have to start training them, teaching them that that isn't love. That's stuff. That's things. Things are never more important than people. And that's a good way to use that when you're dealing with the parental alienation. So they're trying to turn them against you. Really? So people are more important than things. How does that feel when you say hurtful things to me? You get the kid thinking. You don't guilt trip them, but you just get them thinking. So, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing because narcissists love to turn children against the other parent because that's their goal. They want to hurt you. And though you cannot be that cannot be your overriding fear, because if that is your overriding fear, it will happen. So you've got to stop being afraid of losing them. They might just side with the abuser, or they may go down that narcissistic path, or they may decide that the abuser is right and you're crazy and you're wrong and you're bad and blah, 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 blah. So get them into a therapist. The other thing you can do is, as soon as they turn 18, get them into a good DBT therapist where you can work on your relationship with them. At 18, the abuser cannot do anything to interfere with that legally. Now, prior to that, they're going to try, but as soon as they turn 18, you can get them to, if you can get them to, get them into therapy with you, family therapy, DBT therapist. So there you go. Okay. How to stop or leave a phone or in-person conversation with a narc who screams and yells. You hang up. You just hang up. You don't even give them a warning. And if it's in person, you get up and you leave. And if they're like, "Where are you going?" Stop. And I mean it. I am not going to be treated this way. When you can keep a civil tongue in your head, we'll continue. Goodbye. You turn around and walk out. So the thing of it is that narcissists love to hear their own voice, and they love to hear their own screaming, and they think that they can control people with that through fear. And they also will use your hanging up as the excuse to rage, and they will use your hanging up as an excuse to smear and whatever. The reality of it is, no sane person is going to put up with somebody raging at them, either in person or on the phone. So, if somebody starts raging at you, screaming at you, and what you can do is, I had to do this with my mom once. So I was visiting my mother-in-law up in Susanville, and my mom called and she was angry at my oldest sister, and she was just on a tear and she was pissed off. And so she started screaming and yelling, and I was like, Mom, calm down. What is going on? You can't talk to your sister anymore. I'm mad at her. Well, Mom, you're mad at her. I'm not. So I am going to continue to talk to her. How dare you? And she kept screaming and yelling. And I said, Mom, if you do not stop, I am going to hang up the phone. And she continued. And I said, okay, I'm hanging up the phone now. Bye. Click. Nobody clicks anymore. Push. The time it was a click. Now it's a push. So I just stopped. I gave her a warning, fired a warning shot across the bow. And when she continued, I followed through. And that's what you have to do. Because otherwise, to not do that gives them permission to continue screaming and yelling at you. If it is in person, you put your hand up, stop, and I mean it. I am not going to be screamed at. Either speak to me civilly or we're done. And if they overtop you, and they're, continuing to go on, you get up and you leave. You are under no obligation to sit there and put up with abuse, period. So remember that. Okay. Why do so many mental health providers deny the existence of identity disorder, dissociative identity disorder? Why does it take so long to be diagnosed? Well, okay. Part of it is that, please remember, in my profession, in psychology and psychiatry, there are a lot of frickin' narcissists. And they refuse to accept something they have not experienced themselves, and they refuse to admit that abuse, something they are probably doing themselves, can cause somebody to fracture and have different personalities. So, a lot of them are just unwilling to even look at it because they're stupid, quite frankly. So unless you've really, truly dealt with a lot of trauma targets, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to get it, especially if you're a freaking narcissist. Here's the thing. You don't have to experience it to understand it. I don't have to experience schizophrenia to understand how horrible that condition is. I don't have to experience bipolar to understand how horrible that condition is. Narcissists have no empathy. Narcissists cannot put themselves in somebody else's shoes. They can't go, oh, wow, I get it. So this horrible event happened and you fractured off in order to cope with it. So yeah, so they're just being jerks about it. So it does take a long time to get a diagnosis though, because a lot of times they need to see the depth of the fracture. It's like, how many different personalities are we dealing with? What's going on? How to best help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And really it boils down to trauma. Trauma. People do not just fracture for no reason. Dissociative identity disorder is always linked to trauma, always, because it's some traumatic event happened that caused that person to freak out, not be able to handle it, and so some other part of their psyche took over. So really, you want to get with a good trauma therapist. And if somebody is being disrespectful and not believing you, so remember we talked about that on Sunday, if somebody is being disrespectful and not believing you, fire them. Go find somebody who specializes in dissociative identity disorders. Seriously, because they will believe you. So there you go, hopefully. If they don't, you find one that does. So, okay. My ex even said he was jealous of how close my family is. He tried to isolate me from them. Yes, that is what they do. They hate when families get along because they can't relate to it. So this is a real danger and a red flag for children of narcissists who then go out and date somebody who also has a dysfunctional family, because it's like, okay, so let's say that they've got a good relationship. The child has the good relationship with the same parent, but the person they're dating doesn't have a good relationship with anybody. The person they're dating starts poisoning them against the one parent that's actually sane, just like a narcissist would. So yeah, it's they try to isolate. They try to make sure that their target of abuse has no backup, has no support, has nobody there to validate them or tell them any different than what the abuser is telling them. So that's what they do. That's how they control, is they get everybody away from the target of abuse and they try to isolate them so nobody can say, I'm concerned. I see this person isolating you, or I see this person changing you, and it's not a good thing. So that's what they want to do. I've had abusers keep lists of everything I've done wrong and start reading it when we've already talked about it or apologized. What do I do? Okay, you go no contact. So narcissists are notorious to keeping grudges. They love grudges. They do, because it gives them an excuse and a reason to be pissed, which makes them feel powerful. And then what they will do is they will take their anger and beat you about the head and shoulders with it. You did this. You did that. Do you remember that time you said this? Do you remember that time you said that? And if you've already apologized for all of this, if this has already been talked about, then what you are going to do is you're going to say, stop. And I mean it. I have already apologized. I am not going to apologize again. This conversation is over. And then you get up and walk out. So they're doing that because they want you to feel shame. They're doing that because they want you to feel guilt. And they're doing that so that they can manipulate and control you. If you say, I'm sorry again, they win. Apologies happen once. Once. So something happens. The person comes to you and says, this happened. It hurt my feelings. You go, I am so sorry. It will not happen again. How can I make amends? And then you move on. Now, if this person then comes back and brings it back up, that's when you go, stop. And I mean it. We've already talked about this, and I have already made amends and already apologized. And I am not going to apologize again for something I've already made amends for and already apologized for. This conversation is over. And then you leave. Are they going to like it? No. So, but narcissists are notorious for holding grudges and keeping lists and all of that. And if they do that, you stop them. Stop them cold. You are under no obligation to apologize again. And you let them know, we've already discussed this. I've already apologized it. I've made appropriate amends. We're done. We're done. I'm not doing this again. And then of course they'll be like, you hurt my feelings. Okay. Too bad, so sad. Bye. We're done. So remember, when a narcissist does the you hurt my feelings, or a borderline, when a borderline does the you've hurt my feelings, and it's over and over and over again, it's a way to control. It's a way to control because they're trying to make that person feel the shame that they feel. So don't play the game. Don't play. Know when I mean it. I've already apologized. We're not going over this again. We are done here. This conversation is over. So you have two options. You either change the subject or I walk out. So you took the power back. They're not going to like that, but oh well. So you don't put up with that. You absolutely do not put up with that. Why do so many people fawn over narcissists in leadership positions? So remember, flying monkeys are one of two things. They are either ignorant, just plain old ignorant, don't get it, don't understand abuse, don't understand narcissism, don't understand flying monkeys, don't understand people pleasing, don't understand, they just don't understand. Or they are themselves minor narcissists. So look at all the cults, okay? Look at all the cults that we've had to deal with. People who fawn and play to the leader want that power for themselves. They're minor narcissists themselves. They're minor abusers themselves. So they do the dirty work for the leader, wanting to get goodies, right? So they fawn all over the leader, wanting to get praise, wanting to get benefits, wanting to get whatever. So flying monkeys are either ignorant, they don't understand, or they're more dangerous. They do understand. They're abusers themselves. They are minor narcissists themselves, and they're fawning all over the leader because they want to get into the good graces in order to get benefits. Does that make sense? So that's why that happens. And that's why when I was talking about narcissistic bosses, don't play. Don't, because with narcissists, like I said, with narcissistic bosses, there's either fawners that basically walk around, telling the emperor that his clothes look great when he's buck naked. Or there's the people that are like, no, there are no clothes, and they're going to get fired because they've gone against the abuser. Or there's people that are biting their tongues. So if somebody is fawning around a leader and that leader is clearly narcissistic, abusive, lying, gaslighting, etc., you walk away from that whole organization. You get out of that job, you get out of it and away from that abuser, because that's a cult thing. That's a cult thing. So that's what you see in cults, is that there's all these sycophants that are around them that are feeding the abuser all of the narcissistic supply they could possibly need because they're wanting to get benefits from it. So if that's what's happening in your organization, leave, because that is not ever going to change, and it's not ever going to get better. It's only going to get worse. So there it is. Okay. How do you break trauma bonding? I miss my abuser. I don't miss the abuse. I want the person they were in the beginning back. Oh, sweetie, you're not alone. So here's the deal. And this is what makes me so angry with some people, is they go, oh, well, you must have enjoyed it because you stayed for so long. Or, oh, you must have enjoyed it because you went back. You know, screw you. No, that is not what's happening. On average, because of the trauma bonding, the intermittent positive rewards, I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Because of that, it takes on average 7 times before we're able to finally break that bond and get the heck out of there. The best way to stop the trauma bonding is get with a good trauma therapist. Start working on what is going on in your life that allowed this person to come in and start trauma bonding with you. And generally, it's inner child work we have to do. It's because of stuff that went on with our family of origin. So we have to work on whatever issues that was going on. So like if the abuser reminds you of mom or dad or grandparents or whoever the caregivers were, that's what you got to work on. Okay. Self-esteem, the self-esteem workbook, Glenn Schiraldi, The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker, Codependent No More, Beyond Codependent No More, Melanie Beattie. You've got to get a good, strong self-esteem. People with self-esteem do not trauma bond. They don't. Not really good self-esteem. And you've got to be aware of when somebody is love bombing you. So we do miss who they were in the beginning because they mirrored us back to us. So we essentially fell in love with ourselves. I know. So basically what it is they told us or showed us everything that we wanted in a partner. Loving, funny, kind, gentle, intelligent, good conversations, etc., etc., etc. They mirrored that to us. We thought, oh my gosh, this is just like Frozen. This is like Anna and Prince Hans. Oh my gosh, they're, I like to ice skate. You like to ice skate. I like to ice skate. You like pizza. I like pizza. That whole thing. And so we think we found our perfect mate, and it's a lot of fun in the beginning. It is. I'm not going to lie. But then when that mask drops and they show you who they really are, it's heartbreaking, and you have to believe them. And that's what the task is. And that's hard because we loved them. We did. We absolutely adored them. And then they started the devalue and the discard, and they started treating us like doo-doo. And we want desperately to get back. I just want them to get back to that love bombing. I just want them to love me again. I just want them to be nice to me again. That's the trauma bonding. So you're going to have to write a goodbye letter to them. Dear abuser, here's the good. So in the beginning, you were love bombing me, and oh my gosh, I thought you were just like me and so funny and so kind and so gentle and, all of this. And then the bad. And then things started to change. As soon as I moved in, as soon as I said I do, as soon as we decided we were boyfriend and girlfriend, then the demands started. Then this started. Then that started. And then the ugly. And then you started the devalue and the discard. And you started isolating me from family and friends. And you started telling me how stupid I was. And you started, whatever. And then the horrific. The horrific was I never could get back to that love bombing phase. I see who you really are. This is horrible. This is horrifying. This is terrible because all I want to do is get back to that person I loved. I miss that person, but I realize that person was an illusion. That person never existed. And how dare you for making me think that they did. This is goodbye. Go pound sand. I believe you now, who you are. I understand that you lied to me and that you were never this person over here that I loved. Bleep the bleepity bleep bleep out of bleeping bleep you, a-hole. Goodbye. Trot it out to the barbecue. Read it out loud once. Grieve and then burn it. It is like grieving a death. It really is, because this person is never coming back. And if they do come back, it's in the Hoover phase. So it's when they want to suck you back in that they'll love bomb and they'll trauma bond. So you've got to remind yourself of every rotten thing they ever did and that they lied to you. Because let me tell you something. People who love you respect you. People who respect you love you. And people who love and respect do not devalue, discard, lie, cheat, steal, gaslight, etc., etc., etc. Does that make sense? So write and burn a letter, get with a good trauma therapist, start working on that. Block them, get out, save yourself. Yes, we miss them. Yes, we miss this illusion because they mirrored us back to us. So start working on self-esteem. Love yourself. Love yourself. Gentle with you. You acknowledge what is. Yes, I miss who I thought they were. Absolutely. Yeah. But guess what? That wasn't real. That was an illusion. That was not the true them. The true them was them abusing. The true them was doing the devalue and the discard. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever lull yourself into the idea that, oh, well, okay, well, they're being nice to me now. That's intermittent positive rewards. Nope. People don't do that. People don't do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde if they're healthy. But abusers do. All right, my loves, that's all the time I've got for today. All right, so this weekend we're going to talk about when the alienation is successful, what you can do, and especially if there's grandkids involved, you know, what you can do, what you can't do, you know, how to save your sanity, etc., etc., etc. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right, my loves, have a great week, and I will talk to you on Sunday. Bye.